Alright guys, welcome back to Adekunle's Top Line Show.
Hi, come with me. Let's wine with Honorable Oluwole Oke, the Chairman Public Accounts Committee, House of Representatives from Obokun, Oriade Constituency in Osun State. Alright guys, let's go.
What information you'd like to share with the rest of the audience?
Okay, my name is Busayo Oluwole Oke. I'm from Osun State.
Okay.
I'm from Esauke, a town in Obokun local government. And I represent Obokun, Oriade Federal Constituency in the House of Representatives. And I'm privileged to be the chairman of the Constitutional Committee of the House, Public Accounts Committee.
Oh, such an interesting profile,
Yes.
I must say.
Thank
Nice
you.
to meet you once
My
again.
pleasure.
So for how long have you been holding your political position?
Yes, I came in 2003.
Oh,
And I chaired the Defense Committee back to back for 8 years. I couldn't come back in 2011 because there was a change of pattern of government in Osun State, Arebeshola, and which affected virtually every person. But I used the opportunity to go back to school to study law at the Buckingham University, London, UK, and also used the opportunity to have my master's in tax law from University College London. And thereafter, I ran for governorship in 2014 in Osun State. The party decided to field Senator Mishore, and then they pleaded I should come back to the House. So I came back to the House in 2015 when I chaired Public Procurement Committee for another 4 years. And then in 2019 I came back to chair Public Accounts Committee of the House. So professionally, I'm a tax lawyer.
okay.
I read law. I'm an economist. I have a degree in economics. I have a master's degree in accounting and finance and accounting. And so I practice taxation.
Okay.
I'm also an educationist. I have a career in education. I'm a teacher. I'm an author. I'm a writer. And I'm also an employer of labor. You know, I have about close to 600 workers that God used me to place food on their table on a monthly basis. You know, so I'm a farmer as well. So I have interest in agriculture, interest in aviation. You know, I'm married to a pharmacist.
Okay.
Yeah, my wife, Busayo Florence, me Akimikawe Oke. And I have 4 kids, 2 boys, 2 girls. You know.
You've mentioned a lot of taxation, finance, law, education, even aviation. So how do you get to manage all of this? You're just one person.
Yeah, it's life is a serious business,
Well,
and it's about your determination. What you want to make use of it. God has given us privilege to be alive. You know, so it's now depends on you. What you want to make use of it. Your sojourn on earth. What do you want to be known for? What do you want to be your achievement? You know, so if some people toy and play every day, no. Every day, every hour, every moment is very important to me. And I deploy it efficiently and productively too.
okay, so one more question for me before I hand over to Ayantunji. So what motivated you to join politics in Nigeria?
Because naturally, I'm a welfareist. My days back at the Polytechnic Ibadan
Yes.
in the 80s, I happened to be a member of the student union body. And I know naturally I care for people, I care for my colleagues, I look after my friends and colleagues. And I know that government is about service to people, to humanity. So, and I know I can do well in governance. You know, I haven't acquired second address. That is, I haven't acquired a career You know, I've been in business for more than 35 years. So even before coming here, I've been in business. I've done so much for myself. So coming here to be of service to people was very, very easier for me.
Wow, that's good to know, sir. So that takes us to the next leg of the question, sir. So you said you joined public service in 2003.
Yes.
Okay, right. So how has the journey been, sir? If you care to share with us.
Yes, it's very hectic, very interesting, and very tasking. So like I've said, it's about determination. It's about what you want to make out of it. It's about what you want to do with it. Do you want to come to this parliament and just leave the place just like that? Or you want to come to the parliament and leave your landmark? And of course, for you to be elected back to back, there must be something unique you are doing in your constituency for your people to have believe in you and to re-elect you over and over. Okay? Are you adding value? What have you done for your people? Have you attracted federal government presence to your constituency? How many of your youths have you secured employment for? How many of them have you empowered? What have you done for your people? Those are all the issues. If you cannot point to anything you've done for your people, then forget it. You can't just win election if you abandon the people. Forget about people talk about rig. You cannot rig elections. You must be loved. Your people must want you. If they don't want you, there is nothing you can do. Have you looked after the aged, the younger ones, the traditional institutions, the students, the market women, the artisans? What have you done for them? For example, virtually in all the communities in Ijesha North, we have 22 wards. There's no ward community you go to, you won't see my landmark. It's either I build a clinic for you, or I build a town hall for you, or I've handled renovated your King's Palace. I've employed one youth or the other. I've empowered one person or the other. Do you want to talk about the Okada riders? Or you want to talk about ARTW members? There is no way, there is no sector. There is no area, there is no sector. Or do you want to talk about institutions that we have attracted? Like Nigerian Air Force Safety Institute in Ikwetu, or the Armed Forces Games Village in the South. I can continue to list so many of them. Or do you want to talk about my constituents in law school in Buhari that I have to annually intercede to support? You know, so you have to really, because the purpose of being here is to represent your people, and you have to take it serious. Is it in the areas of sponsoring bills? Do you have bills that have become law, that have received the assent of Mr. President? What can you if there are no achievements you can point to, you have no business being here. And you don't have to deceive yourself. Or is it because of the meager sums they pay here? If it's because of that, some of us will not be here. Will not be here because I'm a money maker. Yes, I'm gifted in commerce. I have gift in conceiving ideas and transforming it into reality. So that we are here does not stop us from being creative, because there'll be life after Parliament, and after here, where do you go?
Yes. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. This brings me to the second leg of this same question. Since 2003, and I'm aware that despite all these achievements, valuable achievements in office, there might have been some setback challenges. I don't know if you care to share some of those challenges with us.
There will be challenges now. People will come and struggle with you, even when they know in real fact that yes, you have done well. For human beings, anything that is good will attract others. The challenge that I face, that I see, is that the local government is dead. The local government system is dead in Nigeria. And so they are unable to perform their statutory function as a third tier of government. And so the burden at that level is on me. I cannot remember the last time my two local governments employ younger ones into civil service. So the personnel, the workforce in the local governments are aged. There are no younger people to take over from them. Similarly, I cannot remember the last time the state government employed younger people. Not even in Osun, that is depth reading. It takes a very sound financial engineering for Governor Yetola to be able to do the beats he's doing. So the challenge we have is that the responsibilities of these two other tiers of government are now being, taken to the federal level. So when you see freshers, young men and women, they are looking for one federal government employment or the other. Because the states are not doing anything, they're not employing. That is the challenge. So it is actually we that are closer to the people. I asked the electorates, have you ever met Mr. Governor, other than seeing him on television? Have you ever met Mr. President Buhari, other than seeing him on television? You don't even have access to them. But it is we, the representative of people, that they have access to on a daily basis. They have access to my representative in the State Assembly. They have access to my councillors. They have access to me. Unhindered access. You can't even try it to stop them from coming to you. They will bring the house down. What they will ask me, they can't ask the government, they can't ask the president. So I'm the closest person to them. That is the challenge we carry on our head. If somebody gives birth today, they will call me. If there's a death, a burial coming up, they will call me. If there's a marriage coming, they will call me. If somebody is taking a chieftaincy title, he will call me. Sometimes somebody wants to sleep with his wife, he probably has to call me. So that is the challenge. Whereas the Constitution, under Section 4, state clearly what the role of a lawmaker should be, lawmaking. I don't control a vote. At best, during budget lawmaking, I can lobby and syndicate projects. But the management of such projects, execution is not in my hand. It's in the hand of the executive. So the task, the major problem, all parliamentarians are carrying on their head is that they are carrying they're shouldering the responsibility of the executive, which shouldn't be.
So, I'll lead on my colleague to.
So I'm needing to ask you a particular question.
Yeah.
In the National Assembly of Nigeria today, you're one of the most experienced legislators that we have. And not just that, every head of agency in this country that is appearing before any committee that you are going to preside over will have to prepare extraordinary. I've been in one where you actually drilled the head of agency that came around because you know your assignment and you ask them very probing questions. However, the question would be, what is your major challenge? What has been your major challenge in interfacing with the executive in the legislative process? What has been that situation where you just feel like, I think I should give up on this country? What is the major challenge? That's the first half of my question. So I'll let that go.
Well, the truth is this: generally, the executives do not like the parliament. There's nowhere in the world There's no democracy in the world where the parliamentarians are loved. So there's that hatred and fear, and it's enshrined in the principle of democracy, the separation of powers. And of course, the powers given to parliament to oversight but that's under a presidential system. Even in the where you have parliamentary system, you still come back. Sometimes you see Boris Johnson sweating to respond to issues. So there's that fundamental issue. But the truth is that when you ask people, agencies to come and account for taxpayers' funds, it's an issue. Because there are principles of law, regulations, directives that they have to adhere to in spending public funds. And so sometimes there could be error of omission or commission, and the implications are something else. If you read Public Procurement Act section 54, section 58.5, you see the punishment for infractions. Sentence 10 years in prison without option of fine. So, and people are just afraid that when they appear before us, and they know from experience, from previous interface interactions, that yes, that they are appearing before people who know what they are doing, people who are grounded in law, in accounting, in economics, in public administration. So, and people who are serious-minded lawmakers, who have distinguished themselves before coming even to the parliament. So that fear is there, that it's better I don't appear before this person, otherwise I'll be in trouble. But however, we hold them duty of care. Fair hearing is also their constitutional right. And some of them don't understand that we don't use the privilege, the opportunity of being here to harass, intimidate, or witch hunt. Because we hold society a higher standard of duty of care.
Also, flowing from that, I would like to go into young persons in politics.
Yeah.
From the not too young to young bill, and the passage of that, and the entry of some young, fresh honorables in the 9th National Assembly. First of all, how would you assess the performance of, as an experienced legislator, has there been any change in the ways legislative processes are conducted, in the innovations they brought to the House, or in their presence, basically? How has it affected the National Assembly, one? And secondly, are you a believer in young persons in the legislature, not in politics now? Do you believe we need experienced hands, or do you believe we need young persons in the legislature?
I'll start with the last question. We need a mixture of both. Any leader that failed to plan about succession will eventually be a failure. So you need a mixture of young and the old. You cannot buy experience, knowledge. You can go to school, but when it comes to practical, you may have PhD. Your first day in this parliament, you will shake. You will shake. Because this is a house governed by rules, procedures, conventions, and practices. So you need a mixture of both. Now going back to how they fared. Yeah, very brilliant young men are in the house. But you know the truth? They're overwhelmed. They're overwhelmed by the responsibilities that state, local government want to have bear. They end up bearing, shouldering those responsibilities. which they never planned for. So when they get here, they are distracted. They will start struggling from Peter to Paul to survive. Even in the process, they may end up forgetting about what they are promised people to do when they get here. And before you know it, election planning processes will set in. And the gentleman is busy struggling to see how to get ticket even within his political party and how to face the next general election. So it's ideal to have younger people here, particularly people like me whom I want to exit, say after the next election. If I contest election for House of Reps in 2003, I don't see myself coming back to this house again. And let me also read the records. It also depends on the political offices sharing, because my people have their aspirations and wishes. So you have to be pragmatic, you have to be sincere to yourselves. Which office can I occupy that I can be of maximum benefits to my people? So do you have younger people you're also mentoring? Do you have people who are also, of course, people who have been working with me. I have a legislative aide who is with me here, and if he has been with me for almost 8 years, he must have learned one thing or the other. I have very young, brilliant lawyers in my constituency. I have accountants, I have medical doctors, I have politicians, ex this, ex that, in my constituency, who have been following me, who have been working with me. So among them, I'm looking at them. Eventually, we'll pick one person and say, okay, please come on board. And at that stage, it will be easier for that person. Because what is just bringing on board is not wealth, it's not money, but it's knowledge and experience.
Thank you very much. So let's go into
All right. Thank you so much for your time, sir. So I think it's best we round up this session, and so I'll allow Ayomide to handle this session.
Okay, so it's just following what you said about how there's a need for leaders to mentor younger people, and maybe younger people also need to avail themselves to this mentorship, right?
Good.
Yes, so following that thought, what would you advise young people who are just out there interested in politics? They see what you do, they read it online, and they're like, oh, I want to be like this person in my constituency and all of that. What would you advise them? Some of them are still undergraduate, some of them just round up their NYSC, some others are preparing for masters, some are working. So across these different age groups, if you were to give them a one-word advice or a sentence advice, what would you tell them?
One is, first of all, to be serious about themselves, about their lives. If your parents labored and struggled to send you to the university, and when you get to the school, instead of facing your academics, all you are doing is roaming about in the name of unionism, and you end up spending more years than necessary in the university. So first of all, you have to really love yourself, be interested in yourself, acquire knowledge. Allow the institution to pass through you, and you also pass into the institution. And then make sure that you pass your exams, you leave the school at record time, and then you should have a mentor. Somebody you think, yes, this person can add value to me. Value, for example, if you can't add value to me, I can follow you. I can't even support you if you cannot add value to me. I follow Femi Amila to the speaker because one, he's matured, he's older than me, he's knowledgeable, I can learn from him. I watch the vice president, who are not in the same party, is somebody I admire, I love. I can learn so much from him. I follow former Vice President Atiku Abubakar. He's a tutor, he's a mentor. You know, he's somebody I can learn from. So, as a young person, you have to really look around. who can be my leader, who can be my mentor. You have to take that decision. And you also need to build your career. Have a second. I advise younger people to have second home address. If you don't have it, because if you go into an election, you take a risk and you spend all that you have, your goodwill, and you can't make it. When you come back next time, people will just say, sorry, we can't waste our resources on you. So you also have to look at, whom do I take on? There's nobody I'm trying. Whom do I take on? Can I take on somebody I know I can't defeat by all parameters and standards? I give you an example in Osun State. We're talking about gubernatorial election. And people have asked me, why am I not running? And I tell them the simple truth. That one, I don't deceive myself. I face the reality. That my brother has just finished 8 years of being in Houseofrepresentatives, even though we're not in the same party. But we're both from Ijesha clan. And from East Senatorial District. And we have two major race tribes in that Senatorial District. You have the Ijeshas, you have the Ifes. So if my brother has just done 8, and an Ife man is angling to be governor, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
And their vote counts. It tells me a message. Now, the West, they are yours, who have only had about 12 or how many months, 14 months, when late Governor Seka Adeleke SDP days, who are also demanding, asking for it. And I can see a candidate who has the financial muscle, who has been a senator, who is on grant, and you want me to go and confront him and spend my literally 2 torokobo? I would not take him. I would not embark on such a risk.
Absolutely.
Or you want me to go and come back, to go and face Governor Yitola, the incumbent governor, somebody who is currently the governor? Yes, he looks calm and all that. So you have to really carry out what you call SWOT analysis. You have to put everything on board and then make up your mind. People have asked me, why are you not running for Senate? I said, well, I have an elderly man who's from a local government. I respect him. I defer to him. He's like a father. So why don't I allow him to run for the second time? And maybe next time I will try my luck. Do you understand what I'm saying? And I have principles. Any election that I am sure, that I'm not 51% sure, 51, because election to parliament is by simple majority. Any election I'm not 51% sure, or let me say 50.5% sure of winning, I'm going to it. I'm going to it. But if you see me running for any election, be sure that the probability of my winning that election is above 50, is above half. So the young people should take this on board. Yes, young people can embark on crowdfunding. In a civil society, in a civilized society, people can do crowdfunding. But not easy. Under this economic crunch that we have. When people are burdened to pay their children's school fees, provide shelter and all that. So, but if you have your own career, if you have done what before coming to the parliament, I came into parliament when I was 35 or so. 35. And at that stage, I know what I've done for myself. So, using that of my own profit, my resources, to propagate my ideas and prosecute what I want, it was easier. I've never gone to anybody cap in hand to borrow money. I've never. I'm an organized person. My salaries, my dividends, from all sources, I put it together, take care of my children, my family, and I have the rest, and I can spend without regretting it. But for you to go and borrow in bank from banks who want to prosecute election, you are wasting. Okay, no, which bank will even borrow you money to go and finance election? So young people should build their career. They should work. And a lot of young men are making money these days from IT, from e-commerce, from entertainment. It's like if Davido wants to contest election now, he has the means, he has the wherewithal. He has the wherewithal. He doesn't need to talk to anybody for funding. So you have to develop yourself first. It is when you develop yourself, then you can come out.
Thank you so much. Thank you, distinguished. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
We are really grateful for your time.